You're listening to Served Up, a podcast that features inspiring beverage professionals and topic experts that share their passions through meaningful conversations. I'm your host, Bridget Albert, also known as the Market Fresh Mixologist, an industry mentor with decades of experience. Grab a cocktail and sit back. Let's learn how we can make a positive impact in our industry. Hey y'all, it's Bridget here. Today I'm joined by one of the leading minds in the beverage world, Paul Sauter. With an impressive career that has spanned mixology, beverage design, and trend forecasting, Paul has truly earned his place at the forefront of the industry, known for his innovative approach to both classic and contemporary drinks. His creation has made waves in prestigious bars and culinary spaces. But beyond the accolades, Paul also opens up about his personal journey, a path deeply shaped by his biggest inspiration, his mother. Her influence is woven into his work and creative process. And today, he'll share how her passion, guidance, and life lessons has shaped his career and approach to crafting unforgettable beverages. So sit back, relax, grab yourself your favorite cocktail, and enjoy the show. Paul, welcome to Served Up. It's a pleasure to have you on today.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. I've listened to a bunch of your podcasts already. And just like every little boy, you want to grow up to be on one of his mentors' podcasts. So,
that's really great. Great to hear. Thank you. Can you tell our listeners about yourself? Where did you grow up and what brought you into beverage?
Man, that's a long story. Grew up in Mexico with my beautiful mother. We would vacation in America a lot. My godmother owned a flower shop on the northwest side, or I guess more north side. I don't remember exactly. I was like 5 or 6 or 7. But that was the reason we came to Chicago, because my godmother. So we'd go there, hang out here. My mom would, do family stuff. I would just play in the flower shop. And I still recall like the smell. Like, you ever go into a flower shop now? And I don't think there's many anymore. But I would remember that like distinct smell, and that was stuck in my head. And then anyways, after a little bit, my mom was like, "Hey, we're going to come to America. Where do you want to go?" Basically, I was just like, Chicago, because that's all I knew. That's literally what happened. Finished up school, came here, and then started prep and university and things like that. Chicago was always my number one destination, again, because that's the only place we knew. But to prove my love to the city, various times throughout my career now, I've been asked to live in different cities, Miami, New York, really cool places. And I don't know why I just keep saying, you know what? No, I love Chicago so much. There's so much diversity. And I think I'm very fortunate with a lot of aspects that have happened in my life. Landing in Chicago is probably one of the better parts of things that have happened in my existence. I'm very excited.
It's really incredible. And I think that's such a bold move for your mother and you to leave your country and everything that you know. And you came to a really big city in the Midwest, right? What was that decision like for your mom? Was it for new opportunities? Would it be closer to family?
So it was, from our conversations, I would say is for a better opportunity. If you're not super familiar with Mexican culture, a lot of it back in the day, now mind you, I'm going to date myself, but the age gap of my generation, upper or early 40s, it was always about, you go to university or prep, get a job, get married, have your family. And that's it. If you're not familiar, my generation of cousins, I was the only boy cousin. The rest I had 9 girl cousins around me. So I want to say that my mother saw where that would be going towards and didn't want that. She is the third of 10 children. And so I think she kind of looked around and she's like, you know what? We're going to do something different, for better, for worse. And so I am currently the only member of my family in America. But I will say this for everybody saying, "Hey, maybe there's an American dream." You never know. I'm again very fortunate, but I'm very thankful that we came here. I believe she came here just for us because after Mexico, she just worked as an accountant for the city of Chicago, which I don't know how glorious that job is, but I fully believe this is one of those stories where you hear parents. I don't want to say super sacrificing, but trying to figure out how to give their child's life something better than they had. And I fully believe that's what happened to myself. And this right now is a product of all that. So I can't complain about that. And I really wish I knew that was happening while it was happening. Unfortunately, my mom passed years ago,
Mhm.
and so she wasn't able to see I suppose, my success in this industry. But I do think that just from everything that we did, starting as a child until now, she had a huge impact on that. And I can't ever not thank her enough for bringing me here because now I'm doing this stuff. I'm working my dream job, and it's been fantastic.
What was her name?
Genoveva Sauter.
Genoveva.
Yeah. So Genevieve in English. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
So
And actually,
beautiful.
yeah, sidebar. I wasn't able to visit Mexico for years. But this year I finally was able to go back. And I don't know if you're aware, I went back to Mexico last week. So it was the first time I actually went back to my hometown in years. Saw a lot of like really, really fun stuff. But also visited my mom. And like it's weird and well, not weird, I'm sorry. In Mexico in our part, they have a kind of like a mausoleum to our family. And so it was a very nice just moment that I've had seeing technically I haven't I guess if you think about it that way, I haven't seen her in years.
Mhm.
But it was just very one of those moments where it's like, hey, I know you haven't been with me for 10 years, but here's a recap of what I've been doing. And it was nice. It was nice. So I think I'm finally I don't want to say I'm maturing too much, but I believe it's I'm taking more of a step back and seeing the bigger picture of everything. And I don't know if it's because I'm hitting the latter part of my age, but I'm very like I said, what we talked about earlier, just very thankful and just seeing how like, hey, like all these little pieces, like I could have taken another turn on a road somewhere and everything would have been different. Or what if
Right.
I never left Mexico? Like, what if I was there and I would assume living happily with a family?
Mhm.
But it's those little twists and turns. But at the end of the day, like I said, I believe we are more or less a definition of the American dream, so to speak.
That's amazing. Your
Yeah.
mom was just a very bold woman.
She was always loved to speak her mind too, which might have been at fault, but I might have carried over that trait as well. So,
Well, I'm so happy that you were able
yeah.
to travel back to what town in Mexico?
So we're in Celaya, Guanajuato, which is more
Okay.
centralized Mexico. Bulk of my family is a half hour away in Querétaro, Querétaro, city and state.
Mhm.
So central Mexico, beautiful areas. Everything's changed in the last 20 years. Like Querétaro is becoming this amazingly populated city. I remember I used to go there as a child, and they had these old water viaducts that would stretch across the city. So they're giant arches, and you could see them anywhere in the city where you're at. You'd wake up, you look down the mountain, like, oh, they're the arches. So you kind of knew where they're at. Going back last week, it's so populated with so much business now that I couldn't see them anywhere I turned. It was almost like going to like my first time in New York was, I think it was Manhattan Cocktail Week. I want to say 10 years ago, 10, 15 years ago. And I did that tourist thing, Bridget. I remember just standing in Manhattan and just looking, and I've never seen streets that never ended. Like it was just magical. Like I was that tourist guy. I was like, fuck, wow, this is so cool. So kind of like the same feeling going back to Querétaro. Like I'm very happy. Like you could see everything. Business is booming. They have great boutique hotels and bars, and tasting menus are starting to be a thing. Which is funny when we say it here because it's like everyday shit. But like, no, it's a big deal in these small cities over there. A lot of it too, I attribute it to American and European retirees are like trying to find places to live. San Miguel de Allende is another town. Was a half hour from Celaya. Same thing. I visited, and they're booming. I likened it to being, this might sound a little weird, but I likened it to being in a coma for about 20 years and then waking up and seeing just everything that's changed. I saw cousins that last time I saw them, we were all in preparatory, and now they have husbands and wives and kids. So seeing the cities boom like that is very exciting. And also, sidebar, the housing market is super low in San Miguel. So if you want to buy a house, now's the time to do it.
My house.
Yeah.
What a beautiful experience for you. And I'm assuming that you will go back to visit.
Oh, I didn't want to even leave. I heard it was like negative like 16 here last week.
Yeah, it was.
And don't like to show off. It was like 79 out there. So I was like, it might be. But now that I think with a lot of people in our industry, especially the younger versions, I'll speak for myself, but I think I focused and wanted to be the best in our industry so much that I did sacrifice a lot of like personal time. And we've talked about it with everybody. Yep. I don't know if it's a thirst or idiocracy or whatever you want to call it. So I think now with my current position and job life, like I'm able to step back and be like, hey man, you worked your ass off for years doing horrible stuff, like in terms of like trying to scrape up shit off the floors at bars, and we all paid our dues. And I think now I'm at that point where I'm like, hey, I and love my girlfriend, and she's always like, take a step back, like you need to breathe and enjoy life too. And so I'm able to do that now. So yeah, to go back to this very long-winded answer to your question, I will be going back to Mexico various times.
That's wonderful. I think it's important to reconnect when you can with your heritage and your journey and your story. Can you take us up through when you became really curious about the beverage industry, and what did that introduction look like to you?
So out of college, I was a business manager at UPS, the one in Willowbrook. And I was doing that for 2.5 years, and it was fine. It was a very high paying job. And I think I went to the recruiters right after college, and you kind of just want to get a high paying job right away. Like that's the dream, right? And so I worked there, and they had a very cool program, which makes sense. Not for me, but the program was trying to get very young people out of college and kind of like groom them so they are executives for 20 to 30 years at UPS. So they start you off with a higher salary, stock options, kind of like perks. So I kind of saw that, and I was very well compensated. I don't know. I was just doing the same thing every day which is funny to me because we're bartenders, but like kind of like seeing it in a different way, like just dealing with it just wasn't for me. I'll just put it that way. But one of I suppose what I've been told, one of my strong points is I will commit 100% to whatever I do, which is why if you actually looked at my job history since college, I suppose I have really only had 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 jobs, 6 jobs, because I'll go all in no matter what it is. But at some point, patience goes so far. So after about 2.5 years at UPS, I was just like, I'm over it. I just didn't know what I was going to do. But I quit. Fortunately, though, I amassed, I guess, a small fortune. So I wasn't like terribly looking for a job when I quit. But I ended up going back home to Mexico and kind of just sat there for 2 weeks. Didn't do shit. I sat on the beach and had tortas and Coronas, and I just kind of decompressed. And there's a story I don't tell a lot. So, so in that time, you start partying in the city, and if you ever been to Ixtapa, Mexico, it's kind of like on an L curve of a beach. So hotels, motels, Holiday Inn, more inland, a lot of beach houses around the edge. So I ended up renting a beach house for 6 months straight, paid up cash because I was just like, here we go. It's a preface. My hours at UPS were 11 p.m. to maybe like 1 p.m. So didn't have a social life. So, you just didn't spend money. So I just saved a lot. But then spending some time in Mexico after a week or two, I was like, I need to do something. So I ended up going to, I was partying a little bit, as one does. But there was a Senior Frogs there. And I remember going like, maybe I should bartend. I just needed to do something. I'm one of those, like, I could stay a little idle, but if I have to do physically something to keep me interested in anything. So yeah, went into Senior Frogs. It was just like three brothers running it. And I remember going in, I'm like, hey, I kind of like was kind of friendly with people because I was just like, hey, I'm by myself. But started talking to the owners, and I had been drinking there for a little bit, and I was just like, hey, looking for a job. I'd like to bartend, and they're all kind of like talking to each other, and they're like, brr, 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 brr. And they're like, okay, we're not looking for anyone right now, but we enjoy you coming in, so thanks for that. And I said, okay, all in Spanish. I remember I turned around and I hit my toe, I think on a bench or something. And in English, I went, fuck. And they all kind of go, wait, hablas inglés? You speak English? I go, well, yeah, I'm told you I'm from America. And I guess they were kind of half listening, but they're like, okay, can you start tomorrow? And I was like, sure. They're like, yeah, just come in jeans, come in like really comfortable shoes, and then we got everything else for you. Cool. So I went in the next day. Turns out because again, there was a lot of American and European tourism that they like
Yeah.
English speakers, right? So that makes sense. So I remember walking in and I'm all pumped. I'm like, okay, I'm going to bartend. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, but I think I can figure this out. Which I'm sure we all do. We all think that at some point. And I remember walking in and the brothers were like, hey, you know what? Thanks for coming in. Listen, we have a problem. One of our shot girls is not here tonight. Can you just handle those duties? And I'm like, shot girl. So I don't know if you remember, you'd go at a bar in Mexico City, I guess on the beach, say, do you want a shot? Pour tequila in your mouth, get a little whistle and kind of like move your head
Like
around.
shake your head. Might have done that before myself.
Yeah. I mean, I've only heard about these things,
Yeah.
but so I go, you know what? Okay, sure. They're like, yeah, here's your, it was like AOT. They're like, here's your cowboy hat and here's your tequila belt. And I remember going like, the fuck's a tequila belt? So it was like a thick leather belt where you could had two bottle pouches, a bunch of shot glasses on the side, and like a little pouch for limes. And they're like, here's your whistle. And even in my head, I'm like, do we stereotype these whistles? Like, gross. But I'm like, okay, cool. I did that for Bridget. I did it for a week, 7 days straight. They were like, I kept going. I'm like, ready to bartend. They're like, yeah, actually, can you cover? I go, fine. So sure, did it. Day 8, I walked in there and I threw the fucking belt on their couch. And they're like, what's up? I go, listen, guys, I love the team. The girls are great. And they're all like waving on the corner. I'm like, hey. I go, but this is not what I came to do. Not a big deal. I'll still come back. I just, it's just not what I thought it'd be. And they're all like fucking laughing at me. And I was like, what's so funny? And they're like, sorry, we kind of do this as what's the right words?
Like initiation.
Yes, like initiation. Mm-hmm. We do it with everyone. They're like, usually they last like an hour, maybe a day. They're like, girl, you've been here for a week.
Oh my God.
And they're like, get behind the bar. And I was like, and then I was like, afterward, I'm like, when were you guys going to stop me? And they're like, honestly, after day 3, we're like, let's see how fucking far this kid goes. But finally got behind the bar. And I remember this guy, Luis, was behind the bar. And he looks at me. He's like, oh, you finally graduated from shot glass school? And I'm like, fuck you, dude. But it was like really funny. Right away, he was just like, hey, you need to try this beer. And I remember going like, well, I don't know. I'm new. I don't think are we supposed to be drinking like on the job? He's like, oh, no, trust me. I'll do it with you. So he pops a beer of Victoria. I remember Victoria.
Mm-hmm.
And so we like slam a beer and then we're just setting up the bar and getting shit ready. And then he's just like, hey, you need to take the shot of tequila. I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm new. Like, I don't know if we're supposed to do this. He's like, no, I'll do it with you. So we did it. So the first 2 nights I was pretty sloshed and I thought I was in trouble. And I remember going to like the owner. I'm like, hey, I'm pretty fucked up. I'm sorry. I get it if you don't want me to. He's like, no, I'll go home. Come back tomorrow. What I didn't know is that Luis was trying to get me ready for the onslaught of buy you a shot. I'll buy you a shot. I'll buy you a shot. And he goes, you have to understand, like these guests are very animated and thirsty and they want you to join in them. So that was my first kind of like, I guess 101 on like trying to figure out how to enjoy working, imbibing a little bit with guests, but also trying to like keep my shit together. Which I really was happy that he did that because I would have never thought of that. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. So that's where I started learning about like real like tequila and mezcal, and my love of all agave spirits probably started then.
I need to pause for just 1 second because I want to know, you said that you went there and so you're living in a house that you rented.
Yep.
Yeah. When I've been to Mexico, I've only stayed at like a Marriott, a Hilton, or like all-inclusive Sandals. And I knew that I was going home in like 5 days. And I definitely went to places like a Senior Frogs, which for folks that haven't been, is very similar to like maybe a Coyote Ugly, let's
Yeah,
say,
yeah, yeah.
experience. Or what other place would be? I mean, I don't even know how to compare it. It is definitely a party
Someone compared it to
atmosphere.
like this. I heard they're like it's like Coyote Ugly and Hooters for girls.
Hooters, yeah,
Yeah.
like totally, and it can be really fun. Um, but I think that it's hysterical that you were a shot boy, let's
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
and you wore the little belt,
The
and
word
I
about the
hope you made a lot
whistle.
of tips in that week. But oh my god, you probably put up with so much shit. I
I
can't
did.
even
Uh,
imagine. I was a cigarette girl for a while.
did you
That's
have the
how
little?
old
Did you
I
have the little
am.
like the little
I
box in
had
front of you?
I had this little like hat. It was this awful pink hat and little pink outfit, and they made us wear a tray. So we had like
Yes.
suspenders with a tray, and I worked in a casino in Joliet as a cigarette girl that's really dating me, and that lasted like a month because it was awful. But yeah, I feel you,
This is when
man.
cigarettes were really good for you. So
Yeah, yeah, but nobody. I wasn't like I didn't have a whistle and like shaking people's heads and throwing
yeah,
back
yeah,
spots and stuff, which is so crazy. So take me from that experience. So you're still living in this house that you
yeah.
rented for just a little bit of time, and then what?
So I didn't think about it as like a one way ticket. I didn't know when I was coming back. I just remember quitting and going, "Hey, I have enough money. If we're being honest, and we know the Mexico to peso ratio, like I could live very comfortably for about 3 years in Mexico at that point if I wanted to." Just real quickly, I want to touch on some because I know if my friends are listening to this, they're going to ask. But there was every Thursday night at this particular Senior Frogs, there's a song that we had to dance on the bar to. The song's in my head right now, and I will never ever reveal what it is.
I
Um,
need to know. What does it
but
rhyme with? What is it?
I
Sing
no
a
no no no
sing
no
a
no no no
sing a
absolutely not.
line.
I can't because it is it's almost traumatizing for me. I feel like I'm a very confident man. There's only very few things that I'm very self conscious about. One is wearing my glasses in public, my reading like regular glasses. I hate them. I physically just don't like them. Another one is, and some friends and girls know, like dancing in public. Like I'm fearful for that. I don't know why. I just can't. But I think like almost like an actor when you kind of have to like suck it up and fucking do it. Like I think that's why I did it there. But yeah, every Thursday there's like 10:30, like this fucking song would come on. So this is even worse because it was myself and then a bunch of like these beautiful girls on this bar, and we had to do this stupid dance. So it's very traumatizing. But I might tell you in person. I probably won't tell you on this,
If
but
you tell me, I won't ever
I
tell
know.
anybody. I might play it on
Actually, you
my
know
phone
what?
though every time I see it.
Yeah. I'll text it to you after this.
Okay.
But so I was doing that not a very long time, probably only a couple of weeks, and then my mom was here, and then she got sick, and so this is why I had to go back. So I went back, and then everything happened. But for myself, now I'm back in Chicago, and I'm like, okay. And this was when I think the housing market or something had collapsed, where basically anybody that sold houses was a bartender at this point. And I remember going to like open calls a lot in like River North and what was pre Fulton Market when it was a lot of meat districts, and there was just a couple like kind of cool bars there. And I had to go to open calls, and there'd be like 100 people there, and this is the first time I realized, oh, they're like certain places are looking for a look, and the places I was looking at, and again, dating myself, but I was looking in classified sections in the papers. This is early 2000s. And yeah, and then it was just like, okay, there's an open call at this place called Moto, whatever that is. Let's just go there and check it out. And I remember that was the one that visibly stuck out in my head because not because aviary is where it's at now, pretty much, but I just remember walking in and sitting down, and there's 100 people there, and just gorgeous people. Like, but it was like they were looking for club people, and we all know there's a certain look for that. And so I remember kind of like, okay, what am I going to do? And so all these open calls at like these cool clubs like Crowbar and stuff, like I didn't get it. I'm not these 6 foot tall, right. So I remember, I I remember just finally seeing like, okay, there's this catering company that's looking for bartenders. I need a fucking job. Now, this is a time where my mom had taught me to try to be very good with your money. So I did have money that I had saved from UPS, but she had taught me, don't blow it. Always leave it for extreme emergencies because you never know. And she was also always like, hey, you could always move back home, and I never wanted to do that. Not because obviously I didn't love her and knew I'd get my laundry done every day, but I don't want to take this away from anybody that has to do that. But for me, it felt like if I went back home, I don't know. I just felt like it'd be like just going back. I don't know if I could make more sense.
Would it be like you would be very
Like
comfortable,
regressing and
regressing a bit and becoming very comfortable?
I think so. And then it probably wouldn't motivate me enough to like go back out. I don't know. The reason I say that is because I did go back for, I think, 1 week. And I think like the fourth day, I was like, all right, I'm going to go job hunting. And my mom yells, did you make your bed? And I'm like, I just remember I stopped. I had my hand on the lock on the door and she yells that. And I just went, oh, I can't be here. Like, I love you, but I can't be here. That's why I just was looking for anything to work. So I can't remember the abbreviation, but it was a catering company based out of Jefferson Park. So I feel like they were just, for better for worse, just hiring people because catering is catering. But I remember going in like, yeah, I didn't actually consider myself a bartender yet. I was just like, yeah, I know how to like pour stuff. And they're like, okay, come on in. And I will say I met a wonderful cast of characters. We did events in like Evanston at Northwestern. I learned how to set 16 pieces of silverware, soup, shrimp, everything. Like you had to learn that stuff. And then we kind of moved towards booze where I'm like, hey, I could bartend. Like I could pour, I could pour makers and Coke for people. And they're like, okay, you start doing bartender stuff. And so we started doing that. Now there was a gentleman there that worked with me. I don't know if you've heard of him, Dante Lopresti. And he was working there and I met him. And so him and I started we just got along very well. And we turned into bar captains, air quotes. Basically it was just a way to pay us a little more and have a little more responsibilities, which was great. And then he left and I remember he was like, hey, I got hired to open this restaurant, this Mexican restaurant in River North. And then he was like, you should work there. And at first I was like, cool, man. But I'm one of those, like, you could promise me the world. I just don't believe anything until it's physically in front of me or I see it or whatever. And I was like, cool. Yeah, absolutely. Didn't think too much of it. Plus at that point, I was like the highest paid there. So I'm like, dude, I'm killing it at this catering company. So he left, opened up Mercadito. And then I think like 2 months later, he texts me. He was like, hey, you need to apply here. Just apply here. I would love for you I'd love for us to work together. And I was just like, I don't know, man. But then I started seeing celebrities and shit in the Red Eye because I'd read the Red Eye every day because I was making no money and it's the free newspaper. So, but then I started reading like, oh, fuck, Ludacris was there. And like, oh, like, so I'm like, okay. So I go, hey, let me, can I drop off my resume? He's like, yeah. And I remember, obviously River North, where everything is now, but back.
And that was like Brazilian,
yeah,
the size of a warehouse.
Oh, yeah.
Craziness.
I remember going for a brunch and they had like skywalkers and people swinging and it's a party. But I remember walking by 3 times because I didn't know where it was. I remember I didn't know how to get there. So I had to print out my MapQuest and to figure out, and I had to figure out how to get there. And I remember taking the brown line into the merchandise mart and they had Wi-Fi there. So I was able to like connect my phone to Wi-Fi. I'm like, all right, where's 108 North Kinsey? I don't know where any of this is because I never partied out there or anything. I just didn't know downtown like that. Walked by 3 times, finally walked in, met Dante, kind of looked at the place. He's like, yeah, here, I'll put your resume on top. We'll give you a call. Like, okay. I think like 3 days passed and I sent them just like hey man, thanks for taking some time. Just want to know any updates or anything. And he goes, hey, you know what? We actually hired someone. I go, okay, no problem, man. And that's what I thought. I go, that's it. I tried and that's it. So I'm going to keep doing whatever. And then the next day after that, Dante texted me. He's like, can you come in at 3:00 today? I was like, sure. So went in at 3, met with one of the managers there, Brian, and giving me a nice little interview. And this is I think this is one of the turning points of this life thing that we keep talking about. But we're talking about money. And I remember he was like, how much do you expect to make? And I'm like, I don't know, like 300 a week. And he just almost like laughed in my face. Like, you're going to make like 300 a day here, which a new bartender trying to figure out money, it sounds amazing. So I'm kind of getting excited. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, cool. He's like, yeah, we're just open. We've been open. I'm sorry, we've been open a couple months. We're getting readings. He's like, do you like to cook? I go, yeah, I love to cook. Kind of doing the whole interview thing. And then he looks at me and he goes, all right, how do you make a Negroni? And I remember just blanking because I had no idea. And I just kind of looked at him like, you know what? I don't know how to do that right now. And it was like the phrase, the wind gets taken out of your sails or whatever. Like you could tell he just kind of went, okay. He's like, well, that's something you should probably know if you want to work here. And he gave me his card. He's like, we'll let you know. And I remember kind of like Dante was like, okay, man, we'll see. I go, yeah, yeah. And I remember walking out and I just stood like outside that building and we're going like, fuck. So I walked back to the merchandise mart and connected to their Wi-Fi. And I was like, so I remember I had this shitty fucking like pay as you go phone. And I'm trying to type out this email to Brian Hicks. And I'm like, hey man, thank you for your time. Really appreciate it. Hopefully you find who you're looking for. And I go, by the way, this is how you make a Negroni. And I had looked it up, typed it all out and sent it to him. I think he probably called me a minute later and he's like, can you come back in tomorrow at 2? And I go, sure. So I met with Felipe, the GM at that time. And Brian had told me, he's like, honestly, that reply that you did right away shows that you give a shit. And also, and I remember going like, I do, but I also like hate being bested. And so I'm like, well, if I'm never going to talk to this guy again, I'm going to show him that, hey, this is what you're looking for. And I wanted to show like I could learn and I will show you. And yeah, they hired me right off the back right then. And as they say, the rest is history. But
Yeah.
I think that moment and working there was a pivotal point in my life because obviously I met Paul and Tad, Tippling Brothers, and they were unbelievably instrumental at molding me.
Yeah.
And, I was able to meet, great people in our industry. That first class that was at Mercadita was Jennifer Contraveos, Colin McHugh, Daniel De La Vera, like all these like rock stars back in the day. And I remember kind of like, holy fuck. Like I remember kind of like knowing ish about these people, but like not knowing. And it was kind of like my first foray into like bar industry stardom. Like I was just like, I started learning all these names and like, who the fuck's Dale DeGroff? Like, great. Like now I know Tony Abugam, like Bridget Albert. Like I'm just, things like that. And I think that place, has probably made the careers of hundreds and hundreds of bartenders.
Yeah.
I want to say, I want to say Chicago, most notably because I'm more familiar.
Mm-hmm.
But even the 3 we had in New York, the one in even the one in Miami lasted 1 year. If you really look at it, not a super, super huge footprint, but the friends I made there are still my friends today in the bar industry, like really great people. So I will always be thankful that place, changed the lives of a lot of people, and myself included.
Yeah. Yeah. Myself included as well, because I was able to get to know everybody on just, outside the classroom.
Yeah.
Right. And get to belly up everybody, I would visit there all the time because I knew who was going to be on the other side of the bar because I had just seen them in class like an hour prior. It was just a really special time. It really felt like family.
Yeah. And then I was also like you say, like we don't notice it at the moment, but like looking back now, I'm like, you guys did come a lot. Like that's where I met Sergio for the first time was after his graduation. Like he came by and I remember the first thing he sat down and he was like, oh, just like something with gin. And I'm like, oh, fuck, I don't know what to make. And I remember, so wait, hold on. I just remember running downstairs to our office to look for something on the Google. And it was called like the 3 Gs. I think it was like gin. Oh man, I can't remember the other 2 ingredients, but I just made it for him. And for whatever reason, he fucking loves it. And then that's how we became really good friends after that. But you're right. Like that place, like the industry world, essentially. And that was how I actually was able to go into your class because of that. And I actually, sidebar, I do remember the very first time you were at the bar and I forgot who told me. Someone told me like, that's Bridget. Just say hi to her. She should just say hi to her because she teaches this cool ass fucking class. So I'm like, okay, I could do this. And I remember walking behind the bar and going, hi, are you Bridget, right? As you were like half of the taco was in your mouth as you were biting in there. And I remember your eyes kind of like looked up like, who the fuck? And I remember in my head, I'm like, oh, dude, why? Why? You couldn't wait another minute. But you were super nice. You were just like, oh, hi. Like, shit's coming out of your mouth. And I'm like,
Funny.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's so funny.
Yeah. But, and then subsequently, that's how everything else.
Yeah, came to be. It's
Yeah.
such a cool story to be part of the fabric of what was truly in Chicago such a special time. And I'm glad
Yeah.
we didn't realize it because I think there would have been a bit of pressure
I
and
agree.
there wasn't any pressure. And so everybody really showed up very authentically themselves. And great friendships were formed. I mean, look, I went to the Field Museum yesterday with Charles Jolie
I
just
love it.
because
Yeah.
we walked around for 3 hours and it was great. Like I have
Yeah.
friendships now that we do things that has nothing to do with bartending and
Is it,
liquor. Like just like, hey man, are you free tomorrow? You want to go to the museum?
yeah.
Yep, I do. Let's go.
I
Like
love it.
shit like that. It's so genuine and beautiful. And I'm so grateful to have been a very small part of that time because I have friendships now, like yourself, talk about Kyle and for my life, I hope.
Yeah. 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 I agree. It's almost like, it's almost funny when we do non-drinking activities, which is a lot of fun. And it always remind me of like the People magazine where they're like celebrities they're just like us. They go grocery shopping and they sleep, like shit like that. And I remember going like, yeah, we do normal shit. This is fun.
Yeah, we like to just hang like everybody else.
Yeah.
Well, take me up to where you are today because you really, your journey is so incredible and you are currently working for one of the most celebrated institutions, right? In the
Yeah.
world. So tell me what that's like. Let's talk about the aviary. Let's talk about Alinea.
Sure.
Because there's nothing to compare it to that I can think of. I don't think that there's any copycats out there.
Yeah. So a couple stories about that. First and foremost, we're very proud to this year, 2025, is Alinea's 20th anniversary in Chicago, which is insane. And not sure if you know, but the staff at the aviary, we make the non-alcoholics for Nexus menus. So while we were conceiving the Alinea one menu NAs, we're very fortunate that we got to sit down, try the food before it just started, just to compare tasting notes and see what it's like. And my right hand woman, Chloe, looked at me and she goes, "Hey, we're in a time right now where this food is amazing, and we're so used to different cool gastronomic techniques and just presenting things in weird and cool and interesting ways." She goes, "Can you imagine 20 years ago trying this food right now? Like it must have blown everybody's minds out." And I agreed with her. I go, I just remember just looking at some of the stuff and we're like putting it together to eat. And it was just like, people must have just been like, wow, like what is this shit? Like in the best way possible.
In the best way possible.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I went to Alinea, it was 20 years ago with Simon Ford and Audrey Saunders. And we went and there was like this, a pillow of air, like lavender air. And I can't remember if it was like a duck dish or something, the little bite that was put on the pillow to like infuse the air. And our minds were blown.
It's fucking insane, right? It's just incredible. And I think just that way of thinking was able to birth, our other locations next. I don't know if you know, Chef was always on our previous owner about like, hey man, we should open like an Italian restaurant. And they would say, hey, you're just going to get bored with it in 3 months. Like, well, how about French? You're just going to get bored with it. That's when Chef's like, well, why don't we open a restaurant where we just change the menu every 3 months? Like, and like just that way of thinking, nobody really thought like that. Like, I would never think that. I'm like, oh, you just got to open like 50 restaurants. Like, no, let's just change the concept of the restaurant, which is amazing. And just seeing like just every time we've done a new menu, just basically you're opening a brand new restaurant every time. And it's just mind boggling. And then obviously Aviary came out through that. And I remember the first bar director, Craig. Him and I were actually on the same dodgeball team, and that's how we started talking about like he'd be describing aviary cocktails. And I'll be honest, I'll be like, "What the fuck are you talking about, dude? Like, how do you put a drink in ice? Like all these little questions." But he was so excited. He was like, "No, man, like you don't get it. Like you have to." And I didn't get it until I went. I think I went like the third or fourth day. Blown away. Like I was just like that that influenced a lot of the way I thought after that. And if we go back to Mercadito real quick, like we have the vac pot cocktail, which was an old Japanese coffee siphon where the liquid is heated up and shot up into the top portion where it infuses with all the teas and flavors we want. And I remember like not telling my office manager at Mercadito, I'm like, can we get one of these things? Like, that's so smart. Like, why don't we try that? And they were always like, what? No, that doesn't make sense. So I remember just buying it out of my money and just like taking it to double A and just being like, no, we should do it. So I was unbelievably impressed right from the beginning. It just blew my mind, just the way they thought. And it's always been in the back of my head. And throughout my career, I always went back to aviary because I just loved it. I just loved the way they thought. Working there, it's funny today, actually, I just got the email. It was my third anniversary, my 3-year anniversary at aviary today, which is nuts. Sometimes it feels like 10 years. Sometimes it feels like a week. I can't describe how like just exciting and just fun it made me think about liquid, about beverages. And through all the other bars, I tried to not emulate it because I knew I didn't have the equipment, but I tried to figure it out. And now working with them, it's just one of those, like, Chef has been one of the most wonderful teachers about thinking things in another way. Like every time I said, hey, like, what about this? What do you think about this? Which is crazy to say. I could just text Chef and it's just like, hey, can you give me advice? And his advice is always like, think differently, like look at it a different way. What can we do to make this better? And now we've all taken up a great mantra. We want to know how we can be best in class, like for everyone. We want to be aspirational with what we do with our ideas. And, at the end of the day, and this is why I joined up 3 years ago, because I want to give everybody a magical experience. I want people to, and I've been doing this 20 years now, 20 odd years. And I will still take runners sometimes when they're like, I get it. Sometimes it gets a little repetitive and you're just doing the same shit and bringing the same drinks and it gets a little tiring. And I remember like, I would take some of these runners that are, for more or less, they're like, oh, we're kind of tired. Like, why do we do this? And I'd like grab them and I'm like, look at that table. They're about to try something. And then they'll try a cocktail and just that like smile on their face. Or if I could create a memory that you could talk about to your friends in like a year and just be like, man, I remember I just went to this bar in Chicago and we just tried this thing and there was smoke or some fucking weird ice but they're talking about it, and I'll look and I'll tell them like, look at their faces right now. That's why we're doing this here, because we don't have the opportunity to do stuff like this at almost any bar in the world.
Yeah. I mean, you are so true. It's so true what you're saying. And when you talk about, Chef Grant, that he came up under Charlie Trotter, and we all know what that, you can watch the movie that's on Netflix about all that stuff. But, really learning about the explosions of flavors and pairing flavors, right? And he just took it to the complete next level. And then I think that just a lot of places started popping up in Chicago because of his work, right? And like Boca even, which is still around today. We talk about like Ever, can't even think of some of the others, but Oriole, just like a lot of different places just kind of marched to that drummer, so to say, to really to take flavor and push it.
Yeah, it's crazy when you really look at it. Like he learned from great minds, and he's a wonderful teacher and mentor. And I think the things I've picked up from him, from Micah Melton when we were working together, from things like that, like I don't even think about it now, but I'll see like someone doing something wrong and I'll automatically be like, no, try it this way. And that's just applied learning from shit I learned from these guys.
Right.
Like working at Aviary, honestly, has stoked my engineer part of my brain, because like we'll see an issue and it's not like, oh, we could just buy something else or buy another couple $1,000s worth of equipment. Like we got to figure it out. And one of the things I love about the team there, and that's everybody from myself down to like the porters to everybody, like we will come together to figure it out. Like, and I am forever happy about that, because even in my daily life, like I'll be at home here and something happens and I'll just grab my tweezers or something. And I'm like, oh, well, this looks like it'll work. And it works. And I would have never thought like that. And so I think one of the best takeaways, like you say, is I think Chef has made all these different chefs and, down to us, really think about things in a different way. And I don't know how I could describe that with any more beauty, because it's just like, it's such a beautiful thing. And so
I think it's amazing. Yeah. I think it's incredible. The learnings that you have at your fingertips is quite beautiful. And I do want to shift gears because you and I worked on a project that has recently come to fruition, which is pretty cool. It's just a small little thing, a cocktail Manac by Phillips Distilling Company. And you brought some of, that wonder and creativity and excitement to this particular book. Can you talk about what that experience was like for you?
Yeah, it was very humbling and flattering that anybody considers me for anything. So when that happens, I try to take it obscenely seriously. And this project was something I've never been offered before. And I remember the first couple phone calls we had, I'm like, okay, what are we doing exactly? And I was like, okay, we're coming to an almanac. But what I enjoyed is more the subject line where you guys were talking about, hey, let's focus on the future. And that's something, you don't really talk about. We like to talk about current trends a lot because that's how you cut the crap. That's how we make money. And that's how we keep ourselves in business. But it's hard to track future trends. And so it was very nice to start thinking about what's to come. And I think my set of skills is a little different in terms of like, I enjoy being in a kitchen a lot. There's bartenders that don't, and that's fine. But I think going back to my Mercadito days is when I would be with Chef Patricio and we'd just be upstairs eating stuff. And he's like, hey, what if we like mix this with this? Or like, I love that Mercadito opened me up to using food a lot in terms of cocktails. Like we were using salsa to like spice up drinks. Like you don't fucking see that like 10 years ago, 15 years ago. We were using all the peppers like guajillos, anchos, everything from the kitchen. So everything that gave Mexican food its like vibe, we were trying to figure out how to do it in beverage form. And I think that kind of stoked my way of thinking. So when we were doing the almanac, you guys were focused on the future. And I go, well, I think the future is a lot of culinary part of it. And so it was very nice that you guys pretty much let me kind of do what I wanted to do in terms of expressing what I thought was my opinion, which is great. And the team was great. And the cocktails we made were a lot of fun. And I think the crescendo to that was presenting at the conference in Louisville.
Oh, yeah. We did the Cheers Elevate.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't even thinking about that. No, it's truly. I was listening to all the stuff about the book itself, and it was really cool and beautiful and wonderful to me to see you as a sole presenter.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah, it's funny that I've, when I was working with brands prior, like we did staff trainings and things like that. But it's a different beast when you do it in front of 20, 40, 50 people. But I kind of love that adrenaline in terms, it reminds me of when I was a child and they make you sing in front of the whole school, whether you like it or not. But yeah, to piggyback on that real quick, the almanac was great. I think it was wonderful. And I think it was really fun to have three different perspectives on that. Carla, Daniel, and myself. And because while we are really great and trying to hone in on this craft and present everything the best possible, none of us are like minds. So it's really cool to see her opinion on this, Daniel's opinion on this, and my opinion on this. And it wasn't like trying to kind of mold us to what you guys wanted to kind of hear or see. It was like, hey, what the fuck do you think? And it's really refreshing that like almost everything I did was like, and if it was something like kind of kiltered off, we just kind of worked around it. We're like, all right, let's figure it out. I think that was very nice. And so, as you say, presenting straight up just my opinions and ideas and what I think might be cool is really great. And actually, from that class, there's like 4 people I still talk to that were just guests there that wanted my number, and they're fantastic bartenders. They're just constantly asking me questions now. Like,
Right.
they're just like, hey, what do we do about this? What do you think about this? And I think I want help someone win a competition just from suggesting a couple of things here. I'm like, well, what do you want to think about it like that? And I've often thought what I'm going to do after this, if we can slide
Yeah.
off.
Well, that's kind of my next question,
Oh, okay.
right? I mean, but I did want to just say one more thing
Yeah.
about that project, and that's with, working with Carla Rivera, Dan De Oliveira, and yourself. The one thing, as though your styles are different, your personalities are different, but you know what's the same is that you all showed up with damn good cocktails
Thank you. Yeah.
and
We
a
did.
good attitude.
Yeah, that is part of it. That's for
It
sure.
is. It makes for a real team. But yeah, let's talk about what's next for you, Paul.
Well, yeah. I've realized that I enjoy teaching. I enjoy showing like techniques. I enjoy, if there's a problem, I enjoy problem solving. I've been very fortunate. Kendall College over here, the last 2 years have asked me to come in and speak to their graduating hospitality class. And it's not just, let's talk about drinks. It's just like, let's talk about hospitality in general. And where do you think it's going? And I did that, I think 2 years ago, we started that. And then just realizing that, hey, whatever knowledge I have to be successful or just in this industry, there's a good amount of people that would love to learn or hear it. And I realized that growing up in this industry, there's a lot of stuff that wasn't told to me, stuff that I wish was, and stuff you just learn on your own. Sometimes a little hard knock life. But I want to spread knowledge. I want to like help people excel in this growing, amazing industry. Speaking at that conference last year was great. Like I realized like, wow, I really enjoy this part. So I think at some point I want to somehow turn into like education and figuring out how to impart education to people, not just like one brand or anything like that. I'm very lucky that I was able to do that and I scratched that itch, but I think I don't know, at some point I want to kind of be able to like just impart like life to like these young kids that have these aspirations. It's also funny to me, 20 years ago, being a bartender was like, I think when I started was still like kind of like, oh, it's a bartender job. And now it's like this whole great career that people have taken, which I love to see. We're growing this industry. But I think somehow I would like to be able to like teach or be able to impart something, or I think that's my next logical step. But I don't know. Everything can change in a couple of weeks. We never know. That's the one thing I love about this industry. Like I could have an idea about this, and then like somewhere down the line, they're like, hey, maybe we want to open up an aviary over here. And then I don't know. So the one thing I do love about this industry is very unpredictable in the best way. But I think at some point when I hang up my Shakertons, so to speak, I do want to figure out how to like teach or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can tell you that from someone who taught for over a decade that it is incredibly rewarding if you allow it to be.
Yeah.
If you allow yourself to sit back and just watch the ways that your students take what they've learned, even if it's just small little things.
Yeah.
And plant those, it's like planting those seeds and then just really watching it take off. That's been the most rewarding part of my whole career. Definitely ain't money. It's not. You're not going to become gazillionaires in this industry. You're just good luck on that.
Yeah.
So you better find something that fills your heart that you can find other ways to feel wealth. And
Yeah,
that's been mine. I can
I
tell
agree.
you. So I hope that for you. I hope that you get to really experience that in some way. And I think that you will. I do. And I think you probably already do, with the folks that you mentor, that
Yeah.
you're around day to day. But it's really fun to see those effects on folks that you have and maybe you don't even realize.
I 100% agree. It's just because I did the same thing. I would take little things that I'd learned from people and just apply it to myself. But yeah, you're right. I think the satisfaction of someone saying like, "Wow, I didn't know that. Thank you." Just even like just that, and then if I never talk to that person again, I'm still just like, hey, maybe hopefully that little thing will just be helpful
Mm-hmm.
the rest of your career. But
Yeah, absolutely. Well, can you leave our listeners with some advice? A lot of our listeners are just curious about the industry. They might not even be in the industry at all. And a lot of our listeners are in 60 other countries.
yeah,
So, was saying that, what advice do you have someone who might be a little bit nervous about jumping into beverage?
I think I have a unique perspective in terms of a lot of industry people now basically have grown up in the industry. And what I mean by that is they'll get jobs at 18, 19, 20, and then it progresses in this industry. I didn't jump into this world until I was probably mid 20s, which sounds not like a big deal, but it kind of is because I remember starting even mid 20s. Like I was around people that have been doing this for even like 4 years, and they were just crushing. And there was a times that I felt, should I be doing this? Is this the right job? This is really tough. Which is funny to say, but there's a lot of moments, especially early on for me, that was like, I don't know if I could do this. What the fuck is chartreuse? Like, I don't know this stuff, right? But my drive is to learn and to try to be the best at anything I do. And one thing I would probably, my advice personally would be, if you have any kind of interest in this world, if it's beverage, if it's hospitality, if it's serving, if it's knowing food, if it's being a sommelier, if you have any type of interest, I would say go for it. The last thing you ever want to do is have the what if. Um, Quickest way I could make that make sense in my life was I remember just seeing the job posting for Aviary on Instagram. Like they just posted it up. They're like, "Hey, we're looking for a bar manager or bar director." And I remember looking at my girlfriend at the moment, and I was kind of like, "Oh, this is fucking great! Like, wouldn't it be cool to work here?" And she's like, "Well, why don't you apply?" And I said, "No, they're never going to hire me. That place is amazing. Like, I can't phantom working there." And that was even thinking of like just as bartending. And she looked at me and she's like, "Well, what's the worst that could happen? They say no. At least then you won't have the what if." And I remember just saying, "Yeah, she's right." So that's kind of my advice. Like I say, anything you have an interest in, whether it's minute or enormous, just go for it. Because you never know. There's a lot of things that I've done that have pointed my way to where I'm at now. But there's hundreds of times where I could have been like, no, I can't do that, or I don't think I should do that. I think you only go around once in this life. You should say yes to as much as you can, and you never know what could happen.
Yeah,
And,
that is so true.
yeah,
Well,
and
Paul, I want to thank you for coming on Served Up today.
yeah,
I'm so happy that your mom took a chance on Chicago and moved you here when you were just being brought up, when you were a
yeah,
kid, because you make not just a difference for where you work and the people around you, but for so many of your friends. And it's just your journey is just a really special one. So thank you so much for coming on Served Up. I want to wish you just a lot of great health and a lot of peace.
same to you, Bridget. Yeah, I just want to say like thank you so much. This is so fun, and never really do stuff like this, so it's very, like I say, humbling and just really nice for that you just want to hear the story. And I think I wish we could do this to everyone because I feel like one of my dreams that I always wanted to do was this is very far fetched, but I always want to do like a video splice of like really famous bartenders about what they did before they bartended, and somehow like have that up on Tails for the Spirit Awards. But just like
do it.
Like I was just like thinking, like, wouldn't it be funny, or like alternate universe where it's like,
Yeah,
like you were, I don't know,
cigarette girl.
yeah, it's like a for real, like
Story.
but or like alternate universes. So it was just funny like that. That I always thought that. But anyways, the point of that was just saying like, hey, I think everybody has a really unique story, especially people that get into this crazy business that we do. Because you got to be a little whack to be in this world, I think, in our world, and in the best way possible. Because if you don't think how the normal people think, then the window of opportunity and creativeness is just wide open, and it's so fun. And
so fun. Well, cheers to that, brother. I'm so happy you came on the show.
No,
You'll have to come back.
That'd be very kind. I will be your guest anytime you ask.
Thanks for listening. Served Up is brought to you by Southern Glazers Wine and Spirits. Produced by Zunu.online. Music by We Killed the Lion can be found on Spotify. Make sure to subscribe to be notified of our future Served Up episodes. Cheers.